Hey everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Pick Six. I'm your host Mike Wobschall at TCO Performance Center in Eagan. Thank you for submitting your questions. Let's get to work and answer them. Question number one comes from Austin. What positions do you think currently have the biggest battle for starting spots, and who do you think is the lead runner for that position? Well, let's go with two of them, one on offense and one on defense. On offense, it's the right side of that offensive line, right guard and right tackle. Who's it going to be? A lot of people think it's going to be Mike Remmers, who slides from tackle to guard and plays inside, and that opens up a starting competition at right tackle among a few different players. But if Remmers stays outside, now the starting competition moves to guard, so it's going to be fun to see how that transpires during training camp. On defense, it's the nickel cornerback position. There are three likely candidates to be the starter there. It is rookie Mike Hughes, who's one option. He was impressive during the offseason program and during the rookie minicamp. Then you also have veteran Terrence Newman, who can do everything Mike Zimmer wants a corner to do. And of course you have Mackenzie Alexander, who's been developing as a nickel corner in Mike Zimmer's system over the last couple of seasons. That's going to be a fun competition to watch during camp. The next question comes from Jeff in Sacramento. Can you give fans one player at each position who we should watch in camp and preseason that maybe we'd otherwise pay less attention to? Well, if you checked out the Monday morning mailbag this week, you know that we split this question into two parts. I did the offensive part in the mailbag, so if you want to see the offensive players to watch during training camp, one at each position, go read the Monday morning mailbag. We're going to do the defensive side of this question right now. Let's start along the defensive line. Defensive tackle Jaleel Johnson. Yes, the Vikings signed Sheldon Richardson and they have Linval Joseph coming back, but you need depth along the defensive line and you want depth in the middle. I think Jaleel Johnson is a guy who can provide that, so watch him during training camp. In the middle of the defense, at linebacker, Eric Wilson. Yeah, it'll probably be Ben Gideon, who's the third starting linebacker, along with Eric Kendricks and Anthony Barr. But Eric Wilson can help out on special teams, and he's better than most people think at playing defense. He's a sneaky guy to watch during training camp. In the secondary, Horace Richardson is one to watch. He's a scrappy player. He can play outside, he can play inside. He's got good ball skills. Everyone's going to be paying attention to the mainstays at cornerback, Trey Waynes, Xavier Rhodes, Terrence Newman, and rookie Mike Hughes. But keep an eye on Horace Richardson. He might make the coaching staff make a tough decision at training camp. The next question comes from Thomas. What do you expect from Holton Hill, Rashad Hill, and CJ Ham as training camp and the preseason approaches? Well, with Holton Hill, you have an undrafted rookie, but he's got a lot of talent. He was a really good player at the University of Texas, and a lot of teams wanted to sign him when the draft was over. So I expect him to challenge for a spot on the final 53-man roster. He's big, he's physical, and I can't wait to watch him develop in Mike Zimmer's defense. Rashad Hill should enter camp as the starting right tackle, and I expect him to be the leader for the starting right tackle position all throughout the preseason. Sure, Mike Remmers could stay out there and be the starter, or rookie Brian O'Neill could challenge Rashad Hill for the starting spot, but Rashad Hill had 7 starts last season, and it won't surprise me if he has a bunch more this season. And finally, CJ Ham. CJ Ham can help the team a lot of different ways. He can run the ball, he can block, run block, or pass block. He can catch, and he can help out on special teams. I think he'll make the roster, and I think he'll help the Vikings win every single week. Paul from Seattle has the next question. We have locked up a lot of defensive players, but what about our offense? What pieces are under contract for the next few seasons? Yeah, if you look at contracts expiring later on, it's all defensive players. The Vikings have done a great job of keeping that core together on defense, but they have not neglected the offense. Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, Pat Elflein, Adam Thielen, Riley Reif, Kyle Rudolph, just a handful of guys who are under contract for the next couple or 3 seasons, so the offense is in good shape too. The next question comes from Chris. Should we be concerned the new kickoff rule and lowering the helmet rule will cause the pace and grace of the game to suffer? Not at all, Chris. In fact, I think the new kickoff rule is going to yield more kickoff returns while also making the play safer. So that's good news, and that's going to help enhance the game. The new lowering the helmet rule is going to enhance player safety, but I don't think it's a rule that's going to be called very often. In fact, there is already a crown rule on the books, and I can't remember more than one time when it's been called. So I think these rules have made the game safer, but they're not going to affect the play that you see on the field. The final question comes from Wally. I am going to stick my neck out for the upcoming season. The Vikings will sweep the division. What do you think? Well, I think that'd be awesome, and it would be quite an accomplishment. Is there a tougher division in 2018 than the NFC North? I think you can argue not. Green Bay, of course, has Aaron Rodgers, so they're going to be a tough team to beat. The Detroit Lions are always in any game they play with Matthew Stafford. They also have a new head coach in Matt Patricia, and their GM, Bob Quinn, like Matt Patricia, comes from the New England Patriots, so they know how to win games. And then you have the Chicago Bears, who I think sneakily may have had one of the best off seasons in the NFL. Going to be a tough run in the NFC North this season, but I think the Vikings are the team to beat. That's going to do it for this week's edition of the Pick Six, but we'll be back next week, so make sure you submit your questions in to the email address at the bottom of the screen, and maybe you'll be in next week's Pick Six. Also, if you haven't checked them out, make sure you check out our assistant coach interviews right now on Vikings.com. Training camp starts in a week, so to bide the time, you can preview the Vikings roster by listening to some of what our assistant coaches have to say about each position. See you next week.